is that the banks and financial institutions have dominated policy in Washington. And this is an area where I've got a policy disagreement with Senator Clinton. When we talked a while back, just in the last debate, we talked about the bankruptcy bill, which had been pushed by the banks and financial institutions, that said, basically, it will be harder for folks who have been lured into these teaser rates and then see their credit cards go up to 30%, that they would have a tougher time getting out of bankruptcy. In the last debate, Senator Clinton said she voted for it, but hoped that it wouldn't pass. Now, I don't understand that approach to legislation. I think it is important for us to stand up to these special interests consistently, all the time. And that's what I've done, and that's what I will continue to do. I'm going to go to Suzanne. I'm going to go to, hold on. I'm going to go to Suzanne. I'm going to go to Suzanne Malveaux in a second, but I just want to give you a chance, Senator Obama, if you want to respond. Senator Clinton made a serious allegation that you worked for a slumlord, and I wonder if you want to respond. I'm happy to respond. Here's what happened. I was an associate at a law firm that represented a church group that had partnered with this individual to do a project. And I did about 5 hours worth of work on this joint project. That's what she's referring to. Now, it's fine for her to throw that out. But the larger reason that I think this debate is important is because we do have to trust our leaders and what they say. That is important, because if we can't, then we're not going to be able to mobilize the American people behind bringing about changes in health care reform, bringing about changes in how we're going to put people back to work, changing our trade laws. And consistency matters. Truthfulness during campaigns makes a difference. And that's what I try to do, and I will continue to try to do as President of the United States. Thank you, Senator.
Now, let me start with the claim about the bankruptcy bill. I said very clearly I regretted voting for it, and I was happy that it didn't get into law. By 2005, there was another run at a bankruptcy reform motivated by the credit card companies and the other big lenders. I opposed that bill. I said very forcefully I opposed that bill. There was a particular amendment that I think is very telling. It was an amendment to prohibit credit card companies from charging more than 30% interest. Senator Obama voted for it. I voted against it. It was one of the biggest lobbyist victories on that very bad bill that the bankruptcy bill represented.
Thank you.
And I think it's important, you know, if you look at the recent article about Senator Obama's work on health care reform in the Illinois legislature, it's a very interesting piece about how he basically did the bidding of the insurance companies during that effort. Now, I'm just saying that if we're going to be hurling these charges against one another, I'm used to taking the incoming fire. I've taken it for 16 years. But when you get into this arena, you can't expect to have a hands-off attitude about your record. And it is perfectly fair to have comparisons and contrasts. I voted against a 30%, I voted for limiting to 30% what credit card companies could charge. Right. Senator Obama did not.
Senator Obama,
that's
30 seconds, please. Absolutely. It is a fact, because I thought 30% potentially was too high of a ceiling. So we had no hearings on that bill. It had not gone through the banking committee. I don't know about a lot of folks here. Most folks here, if they've got a credit card, are paying 29%, which, so under this provision, that would have been fine. And we had not created the kind of serious...
You voted against it because the limit was too high? Is that what you just said?
That is exactly what I just said, John.
So there's no limit at all?
There had been no discussion. Hold on, John. No, listen to this. There had been no discussion about how we were going to structure this, and this was something that had not gone through the committee, and we hadn't talked about. It didn't make sense for us to cap
so you voted
interest rate.
The credit card companies. No, that's the bottom line.
I opposed that bill, and you know I did.
Well,
and consistently did, and unlike you and John, who voted for it previously. But here's the point. What we have to do is we've got to have consistency in how we vote. You can't say one thing during the campaign trail and then apologize afterward and say it was a mistake. And that has repeatedly happened during the course of this campaign. And I think that tells you the kind of president that folks are going to be.
Well, you know, Senator Obama, it is very difficult having a straight-up debate with you, because you never take responsibility for any vote, and that has been a pattern. You now wait a minute, in the Illinois state legislature, just a minute, In the Illinois State Senate, Senator Obama voted 130 times present. That's not yes, that's not no, that's maybe. And on issue after issue that really were hard to explain or understand, voted present on keeping sex shops away from schools, voted present on limiting the rights of victims of sexual abuse, voted present time and time again. And anytime anyone raises that, there's always some kind of explanation like you just heard about the 30%. It's just very difficult to get a straight answer, and that's what we are probing for.
I feel bad for John.
Yeah, I know.
I know John's not getting a lot of time there. Let me just respond to this.
You don't feel that bad.
I feel pretty bad. I do. I feel pretty bad. But let's just respond to the example that was just thrown out. The bill with respect to privacy for victims of sexual abuse is a bill I had actually sponsored, Hillary. I actually sponsored the bill. It got through the Senate. That was on the back of 12 other provisions that I was able to pass in the state legislature. Nobody has worked harder than me in the Illinois state legislature to make sure that victims of sexual abuse were dealt with, partly because I've had family members who were victims of sexual abuse, and I've got 2 daughters who I want to protect. What happened on that particular provision was that after I had sponsored it and helped get it passed, it turned out that there was a legal provision in it that was problematic and needed to be fixed so that it wouldn't be struck down. But when you comb my 4,000 votes in Illinois, choose one, try to present it in the worst possible light, that does have to be answered. That does have to be answered. And as I said before, the reason this makes a difference, and I understand that most viewers want to know, how am I going to get helped in terms of paying my health care? How am I going to get help being able to go to college? All those things are important. But what's also important is that people are not just willing to say anything to get elected. And Senator, that's what I have tried to do in this campaign, is to try to maintain a certain credibility. I don't mind having policy debates with Senator Clinton or Senator Edwards. But what I don't enjoy is spending the week or 2 weeks or the last month having to answer to these kinds of criticisms that are not factually accurate. And the press has looked at them. They are not accurate, and you need to present them as accurate.
Well, that law is still on the books. It was never struck down.
We're going to be revisiting all these subjects, but I just want Senator Edwards to weigh in.
I mentioned this about Senator Clinton earlier, to be fair, about Social Security. I do think it's important whether you're willing to take hard positions. I mean, the members of the Congressional Black Caucus who are sitting in front of me right now know they have to go to the floor of the House every day and vote on hard issues. And they have to vote up or down or not show up to vote. One of those 3 choices. What I didn't hear was an explanation for why over 100 times you voted present instead of yes or no when you had a choice to vote up or down.
I'd be happy to answer it, because in Illinois, oftentimes you'd vote present in order to indicate that you had problems with a bill that otherwise you might be willing to vote for. And oftentimes you'd have a strategy that would help move the thing forward. Keep in mind, John, I voted for 4,000 bills, and if you want to know whether or not I worked on tough stuff, I passed the first...
I don't question whether you
hold on a second.
I don't question whether you worked on tough stuff. The question is, why would you over 100 times vote present?
John,
I mean, every one of us, you've criticized Hillary, you've criticized me for our votes. We've cast hundreds and hundreds of votes. What you're criticizing her for, by the way, you've done to us, which is you pick this vote and that vote out of the hundreds that we've got. And all I'm saying is, what's fair is fair. You have every right to defend any vote. You do. And I respect your right to do that on any substantive issue. It does not make sense to me. And what if I had just not shown up? What if I had just not shown up to vote on things that really mattered to this country? It would have been safe for me politically. It would have been the careful and cautious thing to do. But I have a responsibility to take a position, even when it has political consequences.
You are absolutely right. Most of these did not have political consequences. But let's talk about taking on tough votes. I mean, I'm somebody who led on reforming a death penalty system that was broken in Illinois, that nobody thought was good politics, but was the right thing to do. I opposed legislation that now is being used against me politically to make sure that juveniles were not put in the criminal justice system as adults, even though it was not the smart thing to do politically.